What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. And guys, I want to bust this video out before I get on the road. I'm going to go visit my mama. Mama, I'm coming home, mama. And I'm going to visit my mom this weekend. But, before I do, I want to bust out this video because I saw the story earlier today before I went to work. I didn't get to say anything about it then. I'm going to say something about it now because it concerns director Tim Miller, the director of Terminator Dark Fate. And Tim Miller thinks that he can just run off at the mouth and nobody's going to say, hey, slow your roll there, buddy. I heard what you said, all right? And every time somebody says some out-of-line shit like this, one of us in the Fandom Menace is going to check them. And this time, it's gonna be me. All right. So, I saw this article and it was on aboundingintocomics.com, and the headline goes a little something like this. Director Tim Miller blames get woke and go broke sentiment for Terminator Dark Fate's box office bomb. You heard right. Director Tim Miller blames get woke and go broke sentiment for Terminator Dark Fate box office bomb. Why Tim Miller? What an awful thing to say. Whatever should I make of this? What am I going to do? All right, so it says here, this is by Jorge Harinas. And it says, Terminator Dark Fate director Tim Miller blamed get woke and go broke sentiment for the film bombing at the box office. During a recent episode of The Business with Kim Masters podcast, the host shared Miller's analysis on the box office failure of Terminator Dark Fate as well as audience reaction to the film. Not only does Miller share his analysis on the film, but he and Masters go back and forth about Miller's reaction to fans compared to Sonic the Hedgehog director Jeff Fowler. The conversation took place before the release of Sonic the Hedgehog. Right now, I feel like in my mind I'm channeling the narrator for the Super Friends cartoon, like way back in the day. It was always like, Batman and Robin race back to the Hall of Justice. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's see here. Masters' discussion with Miller begins around the 9:40 mark, and of course you guys know I'm going to leave the link to that in the comment section should you choose to listen or read it yourself. How's that for freedom? Alright, the clip begins with Miller saying, there was a lot of get woke and go broke sentiment that didn't help us, but what? It doesn't say like but, it just ends with but, like doing the but. When asked to explain what that means, Miller responds, there was a lot of issues about having 3 women in lead positions and all that stuff. Miller, nobody gave a shit about 3 women in lead positions. We have seen this before. All right, what it was about a bad story, a poorly executed story. That's all it was. You gotta listen to the people, man. You didn't make money. I mean, I don't understand why it's so hard for these people to understand this. All right, going on. He adds, here it is. There is a toxic atmosphere in this film online. Wait, there's quite a toxic atmosphere around this film online, which I was really surprised at. I shouldn't be, but I was. Well, why shouldn't you be, Tim Miller? What are you saying? You just feel like we're just some toxic people? And I mean, that sounds really pessimistic and negative, man. He's saying that he discovered that there was a toxic atmosphere around this film. I don't know why I was surprised. You know these people ain't shit, but I was. All right, here we go. Masters then posits the idea that fans are lying in wait to pounce on directors and creatives because they know what they don't want. Well, yeah, it's called being opinionated. You know what I mean? It's no big shit. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. I mean, yes, everybody has a voice now because everyone can go online and say how they feel. If you can't handle that, get the fuck out of the business. That's the way it is now. All right? What do you think it is? Just all Oscars and Golden Globes? You know, fuck you, Tim Miller. You know, you got to deal with it, man. Deal with the criticism, especially if you're going to step into a franchise that has existed for decades and you know has a passionate following. What the fuck you don't do is what Rian Johnson did. You don't come in and say, guess what? I'm going to fuck with these guys now and I'm going to make what I want to make. No, it doesn't work that way, okay? The only reason why he got away with it is because Star Wars sells itself, and at the end of The Force Awakens, we were all wondering what Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill were going to do. Alright, that's the only reason why he got away with it. Don't get it twisted. Otherwise, you go down in flames like you, Tim Miller, you, burning on the ground, and nobody's putting a blanket on you or anything. It's just like, let that motherfucker burn. Tim Miller's on fire. We don't need no water. Let that motherfucker burn! Burn, motherfucker! Burn! Get it all out of your system, Mark, before you go see your mom. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Miller agrees with this assertion, saying, yeah, and unfortunately, I think it's a small minority. Here we go. But it's a very vocal minority, and they make a lot of noise, and it's hard. Yeah, this is hard too, Tim Miller. You know, I don't dwell on online negativity, but it's human nature to read a little bit. Yes, you read and you watch these videos, don't you, Tim Miller? Yes, you do. I know you do. You're watching me right now, man, and I'm telling you, your problem is that you didn't plug into the fandom. You need to listen, not because you're going to be kissing our ass, even though that would be nice, but just because it would have given you a gauge, you know, on which way you should have went. And Tim Miller, I don't think it would have been that hard to understand that if you were going to do what you did, you're probably, and if you wanted to kill, all right, if you wanted to kill John Connor, you probably shouldn't have killed the most popular version of John Connor that these movies have produced in front of his mother after we watched these people fight for each other, you know, and we've marinated and had that in our minds for decades. It's just not fucking right, Tim Miller. It's just not. And dude, you should have known that. You know what I mean? Come on now. All right, this took it all the way back up to the top. Let me just scroll down. Okay, so he reads a little bit. He elaborates. Here's one. I did a Vanity Fair interview. It was a breakdown of a scene, and I'm in a dark blue shirt, and I'm in a small room in the hotel where they were doing the junket, and it's hot, and there's a lot of lights in there. And so, by the end of the hour of interviewing, I'm sweating, right? And I just read a couple of comments, and they're like, look at this fucking guy. He's sweating because he destroyed the franchise. Look at this guy. He's fucking sweating because he knows his career is over and he tanked the franchise. Yeah, I wrote that. That was me. I'm sorry, Tim. You know. And I'm like, no, I'm sweating because the room is hot and there's a lot of lights on me. And maybe I didn't put on enough antiperspirant. Yeah, see that? You're funky. Wash your ass, Tim Miller. You see, this is the reason why your movie stunk. Because you stunk. You stink, Tim Miller. Use antiperspirant. Use deodorant. Come on, man. Where were you brought up in a barn? No disrespect to people who were brought up in a barn. I'm not nervous, or you know, there's nothing. Anyway, it's both sad and funny. I think it's supposed to be sad and funny. It says it's both sad and funny to see the stories that people are putting out there versus what, but now the fuck is really going on. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. All right, now I just hit the IHOP link. Let me get past that. Although I do love me some big steak omelet, you know what I'm saying? Miller does add that he believes there is value to finding out what people are thinking. He says, I do feel there's some value to this perspective. You know, there's some insight to what people are thinking. You can't. And then it just trails off. That's a quote. You can't. That's the way it ends. Miller also admits that he knows some of the things he did with Terminator Dark Fate would be controversial. So you knew that, you know what I mean? So you must have known you were going to get fucked up in the box office. We did some stuff that I knew would be controversial. The conversation then turns to Sonic the Hedgehog. Miller was a producer on the film. He details that he helped director Jeff Fowler with the crew, noting that like Deadpool, they filmed in Vancouver, so he had a lot of the Deadpool crew join the Sonic team. Miller also discussed the fan reaction Fowler received to the original design of Sonic the Hedgehog. It was a tactical error on the design of Sonic for sure, but Jeff took ownership of it right away, and he said, look, we hear you, and we're going to fix it. And they did. The new design and new trailer came out, and generally speaking, everybody's... Why does this guy just trail off without, like, finishing his thought? He just finishes his thought that way. And generally speaking, everybody's what? Tim Miller, speak, boy, speak. Use your words. Miller then notes that he believes the new trailer and new design would overcome the first design. We know this to be the case, given Sonic the Hedgehog would be the #1 movie in the United States. All right, listen, I gotta cut this short because I gotta go see Mommy! All right. So, anyway, Tim Miller should have learned a lesson from the Sonic kerfuffle, but no, I don't even know what he did first or last or whatever, but still, it should be a cautionary tale to every filmmaker out there. If you're going to pick up a beloved franchise, you know, one that you know people love, then I would think that it's necessary, if not mandatory, for you to plug into the fandom, all right, go online, see what's being said, because after all, you're trying to get money out of these people, right? Right. So I don't understand why it should be such a foreign concept. I understand you want to be an artiste and a professional and have your own vision, but at the same time, man, your vision can't be that far removed from what has already been established as far as the people who love these properties. All right, so Tim Miller, you have a lot of growing to do as a director, as a professional, when it comes to picking up these things, because after all, you were the person, I believe, who said that people were going to be scared excuse me, of strong female leads in your movies, right? It was going to scare the shit out of us. Well, you should have been worrying about entertaining the money out of us instead of scaring the shit out of us. How about that, Tim Miller? How about that? All right? So, there you have it. Tim Miller blames the get woke, go broke sentiment. You might as well say the fandom menace, get our fucking name right, because that's what you're talking about. We're the only people out there who use that language. We're the only people out there who people consider to be a vocal minority, even though your movie bombed. So how much of a minority would that be, Tim Miller? But anyway, there you have it. That's the way he feels, and I feel like we have to keep the pressure on these people because they're still in denial, okay? So everybody out there, fandom menace, everybody out there who are critics, who rightfully stand up for the properties that we love and believe in, keep the pressure on these people because sooner or later they will start to get it. The big studios will start to get it, and creatively we're going to start to see a change, all right? And that's what we want. So it's a dirty business sometimes, but we're the right people for it. All right, guys, so you can get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this. Tim Miller, I know he watches all this stuff. He reads all this stuff. I know he does. They all do, guys. Believe me. All right, so sound off appropriately and accordingly. All right, so you can like, you can share, you can subscribe, and when you subscribe, please hit the notification bell and hit all so you get all notifications for when I drop these videos. And as always, you can catch me on Twitter, and in the comment section, you'll also find a PayPal. If you want to help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, that's it for now. I guess I will catch you on the next one, and don't forget to catch me on the Dark Council every Tuesday night around 8:15 or so. That's with Drunk 3PO, Abu Nas, Fatal J, Lord Callis, the Majinai. Man, these are my ride or dies. All right, so check us out. And what can I say? It's the livest show on YouTube on Tuesday nights. All right, guys, so that's it for now. I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.